Hey everyone, you're listening to the Alex Files. I'm Alex.
And I'm also Alex.
And we are coming to you live / pre-recorded, both from San Diego, episode 12. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Other Alex is
I
throwing
can't
up
get this in the
digits.
frame. I'm trying to throw up the digits, but it's not getting in the frame.
The fram. We although we aren't together in person, we're in the same city, which is really exciting.
We're together in spirit. We're so close. Like
We're so close.
I could drive to your house right now and do a social distance walk, and we will soon. So
we will soon.
Just the energy shifted when you drove down here. I could feel it. It was like Saturday evening. I was like, oh, she's in the county. Boom. Wow. Feeling better, feeling lighter.
Wow. That is
vibe changer, you know?
That's a vibe changer. And, you know, I thank you for that. And I think that's a perfect transition to talk about what we're talking about today, which is the magic of Disney princesses and all that kind of come with them.
The beauty, the dream, the legend, the Disney princess.
The Disney princess.
Wow. Right? It's like, where do we begin?
I know.
Damn, that is a category to unpack. The highs, the lows, the good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly, the encouraging, the not so encouraging.
The shocking. I have kind of to kick it off. What was your kind of first introduction to Disney princesses and that whole subculture?
Well, I think I grew up in like the golden era of Disney movies. To me, like the animated movies, like growing up in the 90s, being a millennial, seeing like The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast and Cinderella, growing up with those as kids and not, you know, seeing them as kids in this generation who, you know, their parents loved it, but like I saw it when it first came out. So it was just normal. Everyone at school knew about it, and the movies were brought home from the video store from the parents, and we all watched it and loved it. I got sleeping bags with Ariel on it. You know, they were very integrated into my life and culture from an early age. It's hard to like pinpoint the one spot because they were kind of like everywhere. You could have a birthday party as that, school folders as that, dress up as that as Halloween, watch the show, play the game. Like, it was a whole world.
It was a whole world. Want to be part of that world.
Oh, I set you right up for that, and you nailed it.
Set me right up for that. I know. I think my first introduction was the same. Like, it was just everywhere around me. My friends, my cousins at school. Like, I remember. I don't know. I mean, I think I was potty trained at a normal age, but I do remember I got to go to Target with my parents to like pick out a toy as like a prize, and I picked out this Little Mermaid. Like, it wasn't like a video game, but it was one of these games where you could like push little buttons and water would move little balls.
Yeah, I loved that game.
Different like hoops or something. So
love that.
I was so stoked about that. And like, I remember, I think I or a friend that I went to school with had like a Little Mermaid cake like for her birthday. Yeah, it was just everywhere.
Little Mermaid was huge. And when I was little, as we talked about in that body image episode, I had bright red hair. And at one point in my childhood, I had a pool. So like I felt like I was channeling her every time I went underwater and came up, and like the red hair everywhere. And my mom encouraged that, and she was like, Ariel. And
did you try to brush your hair with a fork?
Absolutely. And I remember I got a gift of a plush stuffed animal that was her friend Flounder, her sidekick. Aww. And I slept with him. He was big big guy. I loved him. So,
So I would say like, do you think Ariel? I have a friend named Ariel, so it's hard. Ariel. Was she like your favorite? Like, which one did you like? Which princess did you relate to back then? And do you think that shifted over time? Like, who do you maybe relate the most to now
I
as
think
you?
I think when I was really little, like 4 and 5 and 6, like very little, not really understanding like everything in the storyline, I was obsessed with Ariel and loved her. And again, I had red hair, so seeing that kind of representation, I was like, oh, like me, and I can be beautiful. And she sang, and I love ocean stuff. Animals in the ocean. But as I grew older, elementary, middle school, high school, and even today, I associate and relate the most with Belle. I always
Mm,
have loved French culture. And so, of course, that's in France. And then it's a very famous French book before it became the movie La Belle et la Bête, which I read in French class. But, she also loved books and she had brown hair. Again, the representation kind of, I think, drew me. Um, and she can see the beauty in things that are maybe scary or not so great at first, like the beast. So I identify with that the most. I also get Cinderella, the stepmom thing. I
mm,
get that a lot. I go hard, but like I'm not a blonde. I don't know. Um, love
you're not like,
Pocahontas and Mulan, the adventure girls, the
yes.
girls kicking ass and shit. Um, what about you? Did you have like a favorite of all time and still have it?
I
Like,
don't think I had a favorite of all time. I mean, I think I was also into Little Mermaid kind of growing up like next to the ocean and all of that. And clearly, having a prize for being potty trained, a la the Little Mermaid had some sort of impact on me.
mermaids are
Um,
just awesome.
they're
Like,
so
how
great,
could you not love that as a little girl or boy? It's just
right?
like, let's swim around.
And she has all these friends in the ocean, and she's so creative with like, I mean, she doesn't know any better, so yeah, she's using like a fork as a comb, and the songs were just so good. I think yeah, I guess off of sort of looks, I would also say like Belle. And but I think I was also, yeah, really drawn to like the adventure girls, as you call them, Mulan. I loved the soundtrack to that and just loved like her like pretending to be a guy and going into battle and all
Cutting
of
her
that.
hair with a sword.
Yes, cutting her hair with a sword. I mean, I also like
Very Joan of Arc.
super Joan of Arc, and then I found myself well, this is probably a separate episode that we can do on like animated crushes, but I just
Oh,
this is not a princess thing, but I was obsessed with Simba. He was like one of my first crushes, and he was like a baby lion.
Simba was one of your first crushes. That makes me feel so much better to announce that I might have had a crush on Doug Funny, the cartoon, at one point. I
Oh,
don't
well, he
know.
was
I
a
don't know.
human at least. I mean, I had a crush
Yeah,
on like a
yeah,
baby lion cub.
yeah. That's something to unpack, maybe. Or not, because I knew if a person when they were little who wanted to grow up to be a soccer ball. You never know. You never know. We don't understand we're figuring out how to feel and navigate through the world. So I think it's very valid. And he was brave
He was so
and
brave.
like yeah, I loved that movie too.
It was a classic one of the same time. And I think too, knowing that like JTT, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, for those of you who don't know who
Okay.
JTT is,
Okay. I see. That's so subliminal because you hear that voice, right? And you
mm-hmm,
know who that is, and yeah, I get it.
right?
That
It's
that sealed it for
That's
me.
the hook. That's the hook. It wasn't just because he was so, I mean, he was cute, but also I was like, oh my gosh, JTT. So do you, okay, as the Disney princess sort of concept and world as a whole, like, do you still stand? Thoughts?
I do. I stan it
Mm-hmm.
because yes, it's problematic, and there are things that perpetuate maybe unhealthy or like gender role stereotypes, but I think they've come a long way with that, and it can be a very powerful and encouraging medium. And first and foremost, it's entertainment. And that specific genre of entertainment reminds me of a lot of good times in my life as a kid. And I stand that joy that those movies brought me and these characters. And yeah, they are made up and it is fantastical. It's not a rom-com. It's very different, but they have a place in my heart.
Yeah, I think that there's so many, I have so many positive memories associated with
Yeah.
like that time. And I know that like there are so many ways we can be critical of the past and everything. And I think that we can get into that criticism and why it's important to kind of think on it and think thoughtfully about it. But I also think that like it's, princesses, as we'll talk about, have come a long way. And, Princess and the Frog, like all these sort of newer movies, girls are able to kind of maybe see themselves a bit more.
Yeah, and build a narrative and a life and a choice that isn't revolved around getting a man, being suitable for a man. Um,
Or like trying to run in glass slippers, which I still have a lot of
whoa.
questions about. I know. I rewatched the Brandy Whitney Houston live action Cinderella a
Oh,
few weeks
yeah.
ago, which was so hard to find, but watched it and it's so good. And it was just cool to see different representation in that movie. I was like, it felt like it was ahead of its time.
Yeah. And also just Cinderella with the glass slipper trend. That clear see-through boot was hot like in 2019, right?
Oh yeah.
We could like see Kim Kardashian's sweaty feet through it on a paparazzi photo.
Oh yeah, that weird dangling toe.
So if you really break that down though, think about a shoe made of glass. That has got to create the most unbelievable sweaty, like blistered feet you've ever seen in your life. Like
So
why?
blisters, I actually watched a video somewhere online, these two young women journalists who interviewed some scientists and glass blowers to see if it was possible to run in glass slippers, and or to one, create them, two, to run, and
Ah,
you have to like step in a certain way because
it
it's glass.
slides.
Yeah. And
No.
you can't really run. And yeah, the
It'll
blisters of it
shatter.
all. The
Oh
blisters.
God.
I
Dude,
know.
just conceptually, I just got so much more of a real picture of that. So I hope that it's like glass in the sense of like dainty and see-through or something, but like glass slipper, like crystal,
I
even
don't
like no, crystal
I
still would
know.
hurt. So yeah, there's loopholes and things, plot holes in these movies, but that's not the point. We
Mm-mm.
still love them because it's kind of like a fairy tale. The whole concept of these characters and sidekicks and the ups and downs and the villains. The villains are a big part of it, right? They
Oh
make every
yeah.
movie.
And I feel like as I've gotten older, I've been more drawn to the villains because I just think that they're
100%.
more interesting, and the Ursula of it
Relatable.
all, so relatable.
Oh,
Like,
Ursula goes so hard. I
and
love
like
Ursula.
Scar was sort of good looking.
Whoa. Heard it here
Whoa.
first. Like officially, we're gonna put it out there that Scar was kind of hot for a lion
He
who was
was
in.
sort of like the Stanley Tucci. Wow, maybe.
Whoa! He could pull it off. He could pull it off. I'm thinking someone with a little bit more hair though, because of the mane that lion has. But you know what? It's all about the attitude of the cat, right?
It really is. Maybe, yeah, maybe Sandy Cohen from the OC, Peter Gallagher, the dad.
Oh yeah.
Wow, those brows.
Or
Anyways,
Johnny Depp.
oh well, but he's hot. He's got his own issues off screen.
Oh,
I mean,
I just think of his long hair kind of in his
that's true.
face
That's
everywhere.
true. Like, do you feel like as a society, like our relationship with Disney princesses has changed or shifted, since sort of the heyday of the 90s? And like, if so, maybe how?
Yeah. I think it's shifted for the better. I think that when it started, the first Disney princess was Snow White in 1930s with Disney's first movie like that in the theater. And that's the one where it's like, she's laying there like, I don't know, like maybe in a coma, and some guy comes and kisses her without her permission. And, there's
Hmm.
some problems with that concept. And also just growing up in the 80s and 90s, the movies that they came out with, I felt like put the role of women in like a lesser, like, um, victims, damsel in distress. I need help. I need a guy. I need love to complete me. And like the whole movie, um, maybe doesn't showcase her bravery as much. And I think the newer movies have been a lot more mindful of that. So things after the 2000s, early 2000s, like Rapunzel or Frozen, where Mulan took things in her own hands. So like they do have a history of like allowing women to be their own hero, and I think that's the important change that I'm noticing more consistently. What
Yeah.
about you?
I think so. I mean, I guess in this moment, I'm sort of reflecting on like, I don't know if other Disney movies are based on moments in history, but I feel like Pocahontas maybe is the only one that involves a Disney princess that is, and it's interesting to think about sort of what really happened and the Disney version of it,
Whoa,
because
that's a lot to unpack for
I mean,
sure.
that's probably its own separate podcast in
And I
itself.
think it can be problematic, kind of like the
Totally.
way that they created that narrative. But I
And that
digress.
John Smith was like, yeah, I mean, all of it.
That's not what
But
happened.
no, and then smallpox, or I don't know, there's something bad.
She was really young too. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it was consensual. Like, I honestly don't know the whole thing, but I think it was a lot more brutal and cruel than what we saw.
And I
Than
don't
like
even, yeah, I mean, I need to clearly do my
or maybe they
statistics.
were in love. Who knows? I'm
I
like
don't think
so
so.
over my head right now.
Yeah, so to kind of circle back to the non-historical, I think that yes, it's gotten so much better. I feel like there are, in Disney and outside, there are just more role models for young women, whatever that looks like, whether it's like representation in STEM, like women in science, or like so many different things that often I think, when we were young, it sort of felt like Disney princesses were like the only option, maybe. Um, Maybe not the only option, but they were just so present. And now I feel like it's, there have been more kind of complex princesses and characters, which is refreshing to see, and characters of color. And I mean, there's still a long way to go, but I think it's still, it's evolving with the times.
Yeah,
Sometimes
because
it feels behind, but it's also like Disney is its own beast, like the whole thing. It's like they have so much power.
yeah. So it's good to see them using that power to put a more intentional message out there to young women or young men watching that program, to see that they can be the hero of the story, whether they identify with the character through gender or through their hair or through their ethnicity, or their experience or their tragedy in that story. However, they can
Hmm.
identify with that character, seeing the character not be just focused on the romance or having someone save them, but taking power and actually being the hero, I think is very powerful vehicle. And that can be, and also Disney movies can teach you about emotions and love and loss and in their own little allegorical stories, you know?
Hmm.
So some of
Totally.
them, it's that classic fairy tale. Damsel in distress is saved by the shining knight, and the chivalrous, like, horse rides up and saves her, and everything's good. But, life's not that simple, and sometimes the damn prince needs to be saved by the princess.
Yeah, and she just has to take issues into her own hands and be like, I gotta go. Like,
Yeah, and I'm doing other shit other than courting this dude over here.
yeah,
Like,
like I'm prepping dinner. Like, I gotta file my taxes. We haven't seen a Disney princess like that yet, but who knows?
yeah, let me see you take care of your finances, girl. Get it. Um,
What are some of the other kind of tropes that exist, within this world of Disney princesses. We know about like the damsel in distress, having this guy save her, all of that. But kind of what else is there?
So I was curious about that because, as an adult, intellectual adult thinking about things, you break down the storylines and the themes of these movies in a different way than just entertainment. So you're thinking, are some of these messages problematic? Are they helpful? Are they like so I'm just curious of like what are kind of the main things that are like in these movies. And there are a few tropes that women need transformations, different dress, different hair. Women need certain people to get things and approval from both these
Hmm.
people or the guy. There are 10 things though that I thought this list was funny. 10 things that are in every like Disney princess movie. So I want to read this list and see if we agree.
Hmm.
So in no particular order, uh, there is a tragic story. There's a villain who makes everything worse. There's a goofy sidekick.
Hmm.
The princess sings at least one pretty inspirational song. She meets a charming man. A conflict gets in their way. Everyone comes together to help the princess. There is a happily ever after. She ends up with her one true love, and a lesson is learned by all. So it's a very like formula like rom
Formulaic.
com
Yeah.
like guy gets girl, guy loses girl, guy gets girl. So um I guess I
Yeah.
like that there's lessons learned by all at the end, but is the lesson we're learning along the way there's like the girl needed to give up her life to win this guy, or I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched any, both the traditional and maybe the Adventure Girls versions of the Disney princess movies in a while. So I don't really remember how Mulan ends, like with, the guy and her relationship. But I think for the most part, it usually follows this formula. Maybe not as of late with like some of the newer movies, but yeah,
Yeah,
there's
that's kind of the older formula, like the original formula.
the OG. There's usually a villain.
Definitely
And
that, and a goofy sidekick.
a goofy sidekick. And yeah, the villain ultimately, like, she overcomes this conflict with the villain or whatever circumstances there are, and she learns a lesson and she builds character, which is not included in the top 10 list. She gets perspective, I would say. And then she writes a memoir. No, she doesn't do that, but she could.
Yes, lot to unpack. As we're talking, I'm thinking like I think something that's happened too, maybe with our generation or the newer movies, is that I feel like villains are getting more love than they used to. Like people
Hmm.
are loving these characters, like Ursula, Maleficent, like just as much as like the princess, and they like identify with the villain way more. And I think that's kind of cool to just like opening up the different dynamic of this is not the perfect lovable damsel in distress princess, but here's this dynamic character that's been pained and is revengeful or something or this or that, and you see the human side of that. Cruella de Vil, like
Right? I think
um
it's as an adult, like, it's more interesting now, I think, to see the villains and get their sort of backstory. And now it's, I guess, often being done in like a live action movie, but it's more relatable. And I think, it can be more compelling sometimes than just the traditional princess kind of narrative, which is maybe less relatable now.
yeah, and maybe always. And
Maybe
like
always,
it
yeah.
adds dynamic. It adds
Yes.
dynamic.
And it's like a balance of both, but yeah, I know I'm very excited to see Emma Stone play Cruella de Vil.
Oh, dude, hell yeah.
Right?
Do I support the idea of a woman who like skins puppies? Hell no. But this is a movie and this is entertainment, this is fake, and this is theatra.
We
So
need
like
it.
that's
Yeah, and
cool.
like, and she has a backstory. Like, we don't know her. We don't know what she's been through. Like, we
I'm
need to
excited to find out.
I'm excited to find out. And I need a live action, I need Ursula, I need Scar. I mean, I'm just here for all of it.
That would be so cool. Or the evil guy from Aladdin,
Oh, Jafar. Ugh.
Jafar.
I feel like he is fabulous. Yeah, I remember, and this is not a Disney thing, but when I was little, my parents didn't really want me to watch Power Rangers because it was like too violent, but I would still watch it or sneak it, I guess, maybe watch it at friends' houses. But I remember being more interested and sort of intrigued by the villain, like the witch, just because she was more interesting and entertaining. Like the actual Power Rangers, I was like, they're fine, like they're fun, but the witch, I was like, yeah.
They're safe. Like, I want to know what color lipstick Ursula wears. I love that shade of
Right?
purple. Um,
Also body positivity that she's bringing, like a curvy lady, you know?
yeah, and that it's not just, and that she's got problems, and that she's
Hmm.
allowed to be upset or what have you. And I think sometimes they're like funny. They've got some comic relief, like
Totally.
Shrek. There's some pretty funny evil guys in that, and I think that can count as a Disney princess movie with like a different approach. Like Fiona is a princess, but the
Hmm.
main character is Shrek, um, and like Lord
Who
Farquaad.
who did the voice of Shrek?
I don't know. Oh my god,
Oh geez.
I can Google it.
This is important. It was Shrek a Disney movie?
No.
Okay. I don't
Oh
know.
my
It feels
god, how am I? Oh my god, I'm blending genres. It's I don't
wait,
think Shrek is.
Mike Myers?
How did I not know that?
Wait,
I'm
is that
obsessed
true?
with
I don't
Shrek.
know.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I just Googled like how dude, it's been a long week and it's only like Wednesday, but how could I not freeball
Know
that?
that?
I have Shrek cups, like glass cups. Like I am a Shrek fan. But you're right, that is not Disney, but I she is a princess.
She is a princess, and it does, I mean, it is this like idea of like looks and the makeover scene, and there are those tropes, I think, still. Going back to Disney princesses and these like different formulaic kind of plots, do you feel like these stories, like in terms of the impact they have on kids, and I know they've shifted a lot, but do you think that they're hurtful, helpful, like all of that, for the kids watching them now?
Well, because they've kind of come a long way. So I think some of the newer ones are definitely more empowering and good to watch for kids to say, hey, look, you can do that too. You can be the hero of your own movie. Some of the older ones, the classics that we grew up on, not always passing the test for me. I think that they can perpetuate gender roles and beauty standards, and young girls who look at these princesses and don't see themselves reflected. It feels I can't imagine how that feels because I have looked at a Disney princess and felt, oh, that kind of looks like me because I've got white skin or I've got this color hair. And I think that's actually really detrimental for that to not exist for some people. And even boys who are told you can't like princesses. They're for girls, or this is your girls. This is for you. You can't like anything that's boys, and boys, you can't like anything Disney princess. It's just any type of restriction like that, I think, is very damaging and unhealthy, and hopefully continuing to change. So I like these kind of general neutral Disney movies that allows people, maybe they're animals, maybe they're aliens like Wally, but they're um that was Pixar, which is owned by Disney. I don't know.
I know. It's hard because I feel like Disney owns. I mean, I feel the same way. I think that they've made a lot of progress in terms of the plot and the princess of it all, and like, it seems more like adventure based, or like the leads are maybe more independent now. Like they have their own like passions and things they're into, and maybe they find love on the way, maybe not. But it's also interesting because I think it's either, I think Disney owns ABC or the other way around. And so I think the like reality show version, to go back to this, of The Bachelor, and how in a lot of ways like that is maybe not Disney princess but maybe Disney prince, but it's like so old school, so stuck in a certain time and mindset. Like there's so few people of color on that show. Like it's so traditional, and it's like even in the year 2021, like there's not going to be like an
A gay one.
LGBTQ,
Yeah,
yeah, like
why?
at all. And I mean, it took so long to even have like a black male lead last year. So I think that there's definitely some parallels between the two. And it's like this very romanticized version of love, but
And
it's like,
beauty.
yeah, and it's so out of tune what's like actually happening in real life for the people watching the show.
And it just marginalizes us. It makes us feel bad. And like, I think that's again looping to like reality shows that are a little bit more real, seeing like actual human beings participate. And like I don't look at the bodies of Disney princesses from growing up and see anything realistic. It's kind of like looking at a Barbie. I would love to
Hmm.
see like all shapes and sizes in the movies. In the movies too, like there's still kind of just this perfect image. Um, oh wow, this girl has, curly red hair. It's like, yeah, but like look at all aspects of bodies and height and statures and
Right? I
it's
mean, and it's impossible to tell still how old are these girls.
yeah. Yeah, unless you have like context of like if they're in school or like yeah, that's true. That's true.
But
But
they're
maybe
like
they do that on
clearly in
purpose.
school. Yeah, maybe so they're more accessible to different audiences, but I don't
Yeah.
know. I think the same way as like real like live action, like not cartoon shows and movies, like it's always refreshing to see, someone who's like really in junior high or high school playing those roles, like
Oh
not
my
like a
God.
25-year-old, like someone who yeah, has like bad skin and braces and who's figuring it out and who actually looks that age and is in that moment themselves. Like, I think that's really great.
Shout out to the casting director for Freaks and Geeks and The Office because first of all, those people are beautiful, okay?
Yeah.
But they actually are more normal compared to like this insane Hollywood thing. And I think that problem still translates to the animation of Disney. Like
Oh, yeah.
they still have got a ways to go, and it's cool that they're continuing to try and be this powerhouse and make these new movies for kids. I know so many people who love Moana and stuff, and I don't know if it can be empowering and it can change. I want to be here for that and support that.
What are some, like, if you could picture maybe one or a couple, like, Disney princesses, you work at Disney now. This is a vision quest that I'm taking you on. Like, who are some of these, like, new Disney princesses that you would like to see?
Oh wow, let me think about that. Well, to be honest, it's a big project. I'd like to go into the small world. I'd like to go into the small world exhibit and have a Disney princess that represents every single group in that ride so that
Hmm.
everybody can feel included. I don't want to see a repeat. Oh, you've already had a blonde? Find something else. Oh, you haven't had a Russian yet? Throw it in. Like, what's their culture like? Like, I just want to continue to see new things that I haven't seen before. I don't need to see, you know, the pale white brunette again or this tall, skinny blonde. Like, we get it. We get it. Okay, cool. We've got, Rapunzel with the red hair. No, who was that? She like shot arrows.
Oh, Tangled or something?
Tangled. Yeah. So maybe she was
I don't
Rapunzel.
know.
We got some red hair in there, but like I want to see um more than one, Asian Disney princess, more than one African American or black, more than one, Latino. There needs to be more. I don't want to
I
see more
don't
people
think
like me.
I don't think there's ever been, well, okay, not a princess, but like Coco, definitely,
That's as
Latino.
close as they got.
But that's not a princess.
But
Like
that's
there's
not a
never
character
been
to dress up as.
no, and like I feel like the only sort of representation in terms of different ethnicities has been like Mulan, Pocahontas, Princess and the Frog, and Moana. Is that right? I don't know.
And is that one hand that you're counting that on?
Those are four people.
So, like, wow. Like, Okay.
I
So then
know.
now I'm getting frustrated when you like really think about it. Like that's
I know.
insane. That's not enough at all. And there's been decades and decades and decades, generations of these people. Um, Yet we get how many animal characters in Madagascar? Again, I don't know if that's Disney. There's so much going on in the
I know.
animation world.
There's a
Uh,
lot going on. I would love to see like to echo what you said, just more of the real people and girls out there, and whatever that, I mean, the fact that it's taken so long to even, I mean, Moana came out like, I don't know, like in the last 5 or 10 years, right? Or something like that. So that took a
yeah.
long time just to get that out. So it's going to take a while for the other ones, but I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of work to be done. And maybe like she doesn't end up with anyone in the end. Maybe she's just like, well, there were a couple guys. I'm like, I'm just going to do me right now. And that would be cool.
And maybe she's a trans woman.
Yeah,
Maybe she's a lesbian. And maybe she's handicapped.
totally. I
I
mean,
mean,
the fact that American Girl dolls are more on it than Disney princesses, I just
okay, I grew up with those too, and I loved that. And when you get those dolls, you learn a little bit about the characters, and it gives you a glimpse of their life and that history. It's historical fiction, but it's like not only helps with kids for representation, but helps other kids learn about other types of people that don't live like them and have a different past and culture. And when we watch these
totally.
movies, we can see that maybe this country is struggling with a crisis that we never knew about, but we're watching this character survive it and thrive, and we're like more aware now. There's so many benefits to just keep being more inclusive and focusing on that and
Yeah.
focusing on the empowerment, not the fantasy of this formula.
Yeah, and I think it's, I mean, I totally get the nostalgia and like the
Yeah.
memories of all of the classics, but I think it's important to have obviously more context and like, just to think critically about things. And I don't think that that has to like ruin your relationship with the older movies, but I think it just is really important to like think on it because they're part of, I mean, they're a reflection of the time that they're in, even though you would think that by now we would have like more representation in those movies. But
Yeah.
I want to shift and before we wrap up, just kind of get your take on folks who maybe take their love of Disney to a different level. And I'm talking to you about Disneyland annual pass members, adult Disney.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a subset. There's a genre. If you don't know about it, now you know. And there's a big group of people, adults, who have those passes who don't have children. And they go for the love of that and the culture. And they love like buying the food and the merch and the ears and the rides and living in that nostalgia of these characters and themes that they grew up with that makes them really happy. And I love that for them. If that's what makes you so happy and you want to go and do that, that's like the coolest thing for you. I've seen people walk around with jackets that all have like a Disney crew name, and they're like, we go to Disney together. This is our like motorcycle jacket, but it's like a Disney gang and they're adults. But if you're an adult going to Disney and you love Disney, just know that you cannot dress as a Disney princess because it's literally against the rules at Disneyland.
Which is wild, but of course Disney is so on it. They have to protect their brand. And
Yeah,
that relationship that you have as like a little girl or a little kid with those Disney princesses who wander around the park and
the
who you're
official
like, "Oh my
characters.
God, they are official. They are officially and probably trademarked and all of it."
And I think that's why they don't want other teens and young adults or even older adults like dressing like that to confuse kids and make them think there's more than one or something. Like they need to stay magic.
Well, and Disney, when I'm assuming, when you work at Disneyland and you're one of the characters, like that's a whole process and you can't show, like, you don't know, like, it's a loose cannon to have some adult dressed as like a princess, random person showing up to the park, and who, what if they're drunk, or what if they're out of it, what if they don't want to interact with kids, like, you just don't know, so you
Yeah.
have to.
What if they don't know the Princess Wave or the words to say so that the little kid believes that this is Tinkerbell or Cinderella? Like if they don't have the voice or they don't,
Or they say
oh,
something,
hello.
they say
How
something
are you?
really they say something really messed up to the kid, and you're like, oh God, and
Then
then
that's
that's a
changed for
lawsuit.
life.
Yeah.
Their kid is changed for life and never gonna love that character the same. So people do this thing where they do like casual clothes as Disney princesses. So it's like the theme. So like maybe if you're Ariel, you're gonna wear like green bottoms, like a purple midriff, and like you do like modern hip clothes in
Mm.
those themes. And I've actually seen that on Pinterest and it's really cute. Like a lot of people do Disney princess themed outfits and it's cute. It's not my thing. Maybe when I go to Disney I'll get like cool jacket or something, but like um it's cool. It's a culture, it's a way of life, and these princesses are in people's, you know, birthday party cups and sleeping bags from age 4 to like how they spend their income and live their life at age 40, you know? It's
Well,
powerful.
speaking of that, I saw something on my For You page on TikTok. I'm assuming that's what FYP stands for. I'm just going to
It
confirm with you.
is. It
Okay, great.
is.
So it popped up, and it was a couple who moved. I don't know where they were living before, somewhere on the East Coast, but they moved to, whatever place in Florida Disney World is, or they
Epcot.
moved, yeah, or they moved to Anaheim. Not really sure for Disneyland, but they essentially like made their whole life like so they could be close to Disneyland or Disney World, and like they moved right next door, like they had their wedding there, like all these things. It just shows, real dedication. It's one way to see.
That's a way of life, yo. People, and but you know what? If good for you if that makes you so happy. Go for it, man. Live next door. That's insane, dude. Yes. But like that speaks to the power of these characters and brands and movies and nostalgia and way of life and the theme. And I mean, I wasn't super adult Disney, but when I went there for the first time as an adult, I was overwhelmed by the magic and the parades and the characters and the themes and detailed costumes on everyone. And I loved it and absolutely lost myself in it. So I can see how that can be a focus for some people when that's like your hobby, you know?
Totally, totally.
Okay.
I mean, I've only gone once as an adult, but it was super fun, and it was a good balance of like going to Disneyland with someone who knew what they were doing, and also going to the Tiki Bar in downtown Disney to have some true adult times.
Well, I would, back in the day there was a Rainforest Cafe, so we went there. But I went to Disney with somebody who knows it really well, and they got passes, and it was the best first experience I could have had. So, um, but I just want to mention casually that oh man, why am I free? Oh, Holly Madison. Um, Shout out to Holly Madison. She's a big Disney fan, and she has some cool outfits, I think, that are like very Disney inspired, where she's always going and taking cool photos. And she recently posted about something called the 33 Club. And I don't know what that
Oh,
is, but it's like
yeah,
I saw another celebrity post
it's like
about it.
it's like a secret like VIP like speakeasy insider club that I don't know how much you have to pay to be part of it, but like yeah, it's in Disney, and you can have like cocktails there, I think.
Dude, like so many celebrities are there. You just go in, you're like, oh my god, it's Hillary Duff. Like, ah,
I thought you were
Ashley
gonna say,
Tisdale.
oh my God, it's Hillary Clinton. I was like, what is she doing there?
Now Disney. Shout out to Ashley Tisdale for naming her daughter Jupiter. That's the sickest name. Love that. I named my hamster Jupiter.
Oh,
I
such a
digress.
Tisdale.
So much Disney, like you say Disney, and just so much
I
happens in
know,
my
it's
mind.
overwhelming. It's overwhelming. Do you have any, final thoughts on princesses, and sort of, final reflections?
Final thoughts. Um, Similar to how I felt about rom coms. Like you are the star of your movie. You are the princess. regardless of your gender, you can be the hero of your own story. And, you know, I love watching these movies, and if they make you happy, let's keep watching them. And then let's also just keep having these conversations of like how they can be even better so that we can continue to enjoy this type of animation and fantasy and fairy tale in a way that makes everybody feel good and not left out or, you know, gender rolled or this or that.
Totally. I
So
think
it's a lot to ask.
No, it's a huge ask, but I feel you on that. Like, I don't want to ruin anyone's relationship with any Disney movie or Disney princess or Disneyland, but because I feel like I'm like definitely a fan, but I think there's a balance to strike, and I also think it's important to keep it real because as much as the fantasy exists for a reason and for an escape, I think it's super important to be aware of the reality of it all. And yeah, just how, you know, we can make things better and make sure that everyone gets a say and a voice in who shows up on their screen.
Yeah. And it's okay to love those classic 90 movies or the, you know, from the start, Snow White, all the ones that came out and those classic fairy tales that maybe do portray a damsel in distress. It's okay to like that too because that's a story and a fairy tale, and nothing has to be perfect, but we're working towards making it more effective and telling a fairy tale that empowers people maybe a little bit more. But
Yeah. And learning how to, you know, run around in glass slippers without hurting yourself or others.
and you know what? Maybe we're not just a princess and we're not just a villain. Maybe we're a little bit of both. And we're also the fun sidekick, which is like all of us projected into these different characters. And yeah, it's
I think
pretty wild.
I think pretty wild. And you know what? We're all a little bit Alexis.
I love that song. A little bit Alexis.
La la
La
la.
la 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 la.
A little bit Alexis.
I'm a Lamborghini.
I'm a Hollywood star.
I'm a little bit tipsy
When I drive
my
my
car.
car. Oh man. Well, thank you all for tuning in to episode 12. This has been a deep dive into the magic castle of Disney princesses. And yeah, you can be like 90% princess, 10% villain, whatever you want to do. Let's bring those shirts back. But we can't wait to see you next time. We're going to go dust off our cabinets, the dust, the glitter, and get to it all.
So much glitter, so much dust, but most importantly, so much more stuff to keep dishing on. And I just love these podcasts. It's so fun to talk with you and imagine all of the people listening kind of here laughing with us and chatting. So thank you, my lady, me princess, me prince, and me villain and hero all in one. You are also the fun sidekick, girl. We're rolling through. Lucky 13. Oh, wait, no, we're going to be on episode 12.
We are on episode 12.
Oh, so we're going to be on episode 13.
Ayo.
So I was right.
You
Dude,
were right.
I totally just double guessed myself. So we're going to be a teen, and that's super exciting. We're growing up so fast.
Just like a princess would.
Well. Oh.
Wait, are you?
So for those of you who can't see, she's got this cute little like unicorn piñata just kind of dancing across the screen. So that's our farewell as we trot off into the field to our castle on a white horse. Just Alex and I, no prince, just us trotting off into the castle. So we'll see you next time.
See you in the cabinets.